She sold over 20 million books, built BookTok from the ground up, and became one of the most recognizable names in fiction. Her stories made millions cry.
I just finished Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover.
Heal and believe in second chances. But the same platform that crowned her slowly turned on her. For years, the criticism simmered. Accusations of glorifying abuse, romanticizing trauma, and profiting off pain began swirling around the internet. Then, in 2023, everything exploded. A movie clouded by real-life drama.
How do you feel about getting to share your stories with an even wider audience of moviegoers?
You know, a lot of times adaptations get a lot of flack.
A coloring book for domestic violence and a merch meltdown turned Colleen Hoover from a BookTok darling into what some called a symbol of everything wrong with modern publishing. The hate was loud. The edits were brutal. And the fallout? It made her stop writing altogether.
Either a new rock bottom for me.
This is the rise and fall of Colleen Hoover. As the hype around her movie adaptation built, the tide of public opinion was already beginning to shift. Readers and TikTok creators were becoming more vocal.
I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you guys that this was probably the most exciting day of my entire life. Today we are going to my literal dream. I'm getting an advanced sneak peek of the It Ends With Us movie trailer and meeting the woman behind this whole thing, Colleen Hoover.
Questioning her tone, her messaging, and her choices. Then came the moment that tipped everything over. Excited about her highly anticipated movie premiere, Hoover announced a coloring book adaptation of It Ends With Us. TikTok exploded.
No, because who woke up one morning and thought, you know what? Let's turn a book about domestic violence into a coloring book, because that's a wonderful idea. It's not. Like, what are we gonna be drawing? Stairs?
Basically, the book is about a girl named Lily, if you haven't read it, and she is being abused by her boyfriend, then fiance, then husband, and it's extremely inappropriate for this to be made into a coloring book.
How do you illustrate domestic abuse? You don't. I'm at a loss for words. It's not a happy rom-com-y book. It's a dark book with sensitive topics about domestic abuse. You don't make that into a coloring book.
The number of people that this had to go through to get approved, to get published, and not one of them stopped and said, is this a good idea? Should we be publishing a coloring book about a novel whose central theme is domestic violence? A novel where you read abuse on the pages? This goes beyond tone deaf. This is actively harmful.
You want us to color domestic violence? Critics erupted. Was it completely tone deaf, or did Hoover really just believe it could bring a moment of solace to heavy hearts?
Here is why Colleen Hoover has up with this colouring book. So I will preface this by saying that I was a fan of Colleen Hoover's. I've read quite a lot of her books. I really enjoyed It Ends With Us. And by enjoy, I mean it had an impact on me. It was a book that stuck with me. It changed 15-year-old me life. I think taking a story such as that from It Ends With Us and adding it with a colouring book completely diminishes the story. It completely diminishes the message that you're trying to send about domestic violence, because you're mixing it with something childish. Yes, there are adult colouring books, but why did you choose that book to do it with specifically?
Either way, her apology didn't stop the backlash. Then came the film adaptation. Once anticipated as her mainstream breakthrough, now widely viewed as a disaster. Fans slammed the casting of Blake Lively as Lily Bloom, calling her too old, too glamorous, too far from the gritty realism readers had imagined.
Are you trying to tell me that this is how they're dressing Lily Bloom for the It Ends With Us movie? Lily Bloom wouldn't wear... Lily Bloom's grandmother wouldn't even wear this. I love you, Justin, but I cannot fight your corner with this.
At least, like, what the is going on here? This is not giving Lily Bloom. This is not giving what Blake Lively deserves. This is a mess.
Others criticized Justin Baldoni's portrayal of Ryle as too safe, too charming.
Ryle.
Lily, stop!
No, please just listen to me, please.
Promise me, Lily.
I know he's coming.
Stop.
Stop to me.
Stop.
Baby, please, just stop. You stop.
Baldoni, he is directing It Ends With Us. However, he is exactly who I pictured as Ryle.
I nailed nailed it. I nailed it.
Coho just confirmed that Justin Baldoni is indeed going to be playing Ryle, and I'm in wow. He is exactly who I pictured, and I don't want to hate him, but I know he's going to be so good.
The trailer felt more romantic comedy than survival story.
I want to see you again.
Now you see me.
You know what I mean.
TikTok and YouTube lit up. This isn't the Lily I cried for. They softened the abuse.
It Ends With Us was extremely underwhelming, but the most disappointing part of the film was that Blake Lively did absolutely nothing to try to embody Lily Bloom's character. She didn't try to bring the character to life. What she did is she turned the character into herself.
But did she owe an experience that resonated with every person who watched? Were fans expecting too much and also forgetting she sold the rights to the film? Then, something strange happened. Blake Lively appeared on the red carpet and in early press interviews, alone. Justin Baldoni, the director and co-star, was noticeably absent. Rumors began swirling. Was there tension between the cast? A falling out? And why was Colleen only showing up with Blake? In the face of growing speculation, Colleen didn't directly address the rumors. Instead, she doubled down on her support for Blake. She shared heartfelt posts, appeared on set with her, and skipped press with Justin entirely. Fans noticed. Was she protecting her vision or picking sides? Then there was what critics considered a merch meltdown. Hoover joked she was broke and slashed prices on branded merch.
By the end of the day today, I'm gonna be broke as
Shirts, candles, mugs quoting her most emotional lines from her most popular books. But in the middle of the current backlash, it felt tone-deaf. Critics weren't laughing, even if fans enjoyed the discounts. Trauma had become a punchline. BookTok turned.
My boss, Stephanie, put all of my merch on sale for $10 an item. That's like 5 times cheaper than what I paid for each item.
But before the backlash, there was worship. Hoover was BookTok royalty.
Colleen Hoover.
I have read almost every single book written by Colleen Hoover.
Miss Colleen Hoover, we have to have a conversation. It's not about what you think. Don't worry about it. It's about Verity. I was up until 4:43 in the morning because I had to finish this. What did you put in here?
Readers cried, tattooed her quotes, and treated her books like scripture.
Are you kidding me? I am so pissed off right now. I don't even know how to feel. Once again, I'm a victim.
Outside the internet bubble, her fan base was still massive.
I hit the floor. I'm literally still shaking. I just met Colleen Hoover. I was like, I'm reading Heartbones right now. It is amazing. Thank you for everything you do. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with you. She was so sweet.
Her books, It Ends With Us, Verity, Ugly Love, Reminders of Him, continued topping bestseller lists. Book signings sold out. Lines stretched down city blocks. Tickets to her events were scalped online. Some readers traveled from states away just to spend 30 seconds with her. She didn't just write bestsellers, she built a community.
Today is Saturday, August 6th, and I'm going to a Colleen Hoover book signing. The 2 signings I'm going to is taking place in Naperville, which is about an hour away from where I live.
Her private Facebook group, Colleen Hoover's Cohorts, became a digital haven with hundreds of thousands of members.
Now is a great time to start and kick off our virtual girly book club. So thank you everyone for joining us, ladies, and especially to Colleen for taking time out of your Sunday evening. It Ends With Us is a little bit different because there is a personal side to this story. What drove you to write It Ends With Us?
I don't know. I with a lot of books, I know the exact moment that I get an idea for a book, but with this one, I think it was just something I've always kind of wanted to touch on, but never really wanted to because, it did deal with people in my life a little bit.
Filled with fan theories, emotional confessions, and direct replies from Colleen herself. Cohorts, as her fans call themselves, still love to show off their personal experiences with her books, Colleen herself, and the closeness they feel to family and friends through their shared love of her books. For years, Colleen has poured herself into her fans, even buying Christmas gifts and Xboxes for those going through hard times in her fan group. And they loved her for it. On the flip side, to many on TikTok, the obsession became exploitation.
People think I'm obsessed with this, but I'm okay with it. I am obsessed with it. And I think this is an obsession that doesn't hurt anyone.
Mrs. Hoover, hi. My name is Jazzy. You don't know me. I go by Vibing with Jazzy on TikTok. First of all, I am such a huge fan of yours.
And I'm not joking, I read 5 in like a month's time.
Read Verity by Colleen Hoover with me. I think I missed my bus. OMG, it's not possible. I'm obsessed.
Was it glamorizing trauma? Were emotionally abusive male characters being framed as soulmates? TikTok turned. Users stitched old 5-star reviews with regret. Others filmed unhaulings of her books.
Get books off my shelves that I didn't enjoy last year. And so these were the 3 that I ended up going with, and obviously it did not go well.
Why Colleen Hoover gets so much hate. Which takes me to another book I often see on BookTok that is so over the top in romanticizing abuse, yet I only ever see praise for it.
One, there's a big issue with marketing with a lot of these books where they are geared and sold and marketed towards young adults. There are books that deal with domestic abuse. There are books that, although they contain romantic elements to them, still end up having immensely toxic relationships.
The honeymoon was over, but it raises a bigger question. Do we punish authors for success? Was Colleen Hoover being criticized for her content, or for the way her content made us feel? Are critics putting way too much responsibility onto authors these days? Shouldn't the characters be as flawed as we are? Colleen grew up in Sulphur Springs, Texas, in a trailer. She met her husband Heath in high school, and the two have been inseparable ever since. They married young, but their relationship has always been filled with warmth, laughter, and a deep emotional connection that Colleen still credits as one of the great pillars of her life. He has supported her through every writing phase, before the fame, during the chaos, and through the backlash. She often shares how she still writes love stories with him in mind.
No, it was an interesting topic, and I told my husband, which he doesn't read my books anyway, but I was like, you might not want to read this one because he tried to read Maybe Someday, and he was like, do you think this is okay? And I was like, you have to separate my imagination from my morals, honey.
They have 3 sons together, and while Colleen worked as a social worker, writing wasn't a career plan.
Talk about what your life was like.
Well, it was a lot like it is now, but so very different. I had a job that I loved. I had coworkers I loved working with, but we were very poor. We lived in a single wide trailer house. Like just very, very poor, and but very happy. Like, I'm still with my husband. I've been with him since I was 16, and we had 3 boys, and we lived a great life.
It was a form of escape. In her downtime, she'd sit at her kitchen table or in the audience at her children's practice events and write just for fun. There was no publishing deal, no agent, no marketing plan, just a Word document and her imagination.
When you first started writing in 2012, could you ever have imagined?
No, my goal was to, I hope I write a book someday, and that's as far as it went. I just wanted to sit down, get an idea, write a book, maybe someone would read it. Thinking about having a book that was on the New York Times was not even, in my brain.
It's beyond your wildest dreams.
Beyond.
Her hobby birthed her first book, Slammed, inspired by her son's love for slam poetry. At the exact same time, Amazon's self-publishing platform was beginning to explode.
So that was around Christmas time when I had finished writing it, and I wasn't even looking at it as like a book. I was like, I wrote this long story. I wanted everyone to read it, my sisters and mom, and I was researching on Google how to get a document onto a Kindle and came across Amazon's self-publishing platform. And I was like, I could just load it up here, this Word document, and it will show up as a book on Amazon, and then she can download it. And so
it was a moment of perfect timing. Or maybe it was luck. Either way, it changed everything. Slammed hit the New York Times list after being self-published.
You self-published Slammed, and you put it on Amazon release so your grandma could read it.
And so that's what I did, and the book ended up on Amazon with just an Amazon basic cover, like they had templates you could use. And then my sisters started telling everyone else, like, hey, my sister wrote this book. It's free right now. You can read it. And so then other people just still kept buying it. Like someone would read it and they would tell someone else to buy it. And 4 months later, it hit the New York Times as a self-published novel. And here we are.
She never expected it. And that was the beginning. Slammed turned into a trilogy. Then came Hopeless, Maybe Someday, and Confess. Books that hit deeply emotional notes and drew readers in by the millions.
Dude, I just finished reading this book yesterday, and oh my god.
This book, if you want to feel so many emotions all at once, every time you turn the page, read this book.
Her stories were fast to read, easy to binge, and filled with cliffhangers and real emotional stakes.
Whoever coined the phrase, I love you to death, obviously never experienced the kind of love Tate and I share. If that were the case, the phrase would be, I love you to life, because that's exactly what Tate did. She loved me back to life.
Fans couldn't get enough. But what really changed everything? Her relationship with BookTok. In 2020, TikTok users began flooding the platform with emotional reactions to Hoover's novels, especially Verity. It Ends With Us.
I'm so glad I got to hold ya.
Just gonna stare at a wall for a bit.
The tears, the annotated copies, the aesthetic book stacks. It created a viral wave that catapulted her books, old and new, back onto the bestseller charts. Readers didn't just love her work, they felt seen by it. And that deep emotional pull helped Hoover break out of the traditional publishing world and into a kind of digital literary superstardom. It Ends With Us was the crown jewel. Inspired by her mom's survival story, it resonated.
My mother and father divorced when I was 2, and one of my earliest memories was him throwing a TV at her. And I remember, but I don't know how she did it with 2 young girls. And, you know, as hard as it was back then, there were no resources for women to leave situations like that. But remember growing up with a mother who was so strong and independent. And, you know, I would ask her all the time, like, how did you find yourself in this situation?
But to some, it crossed a line. Was it empowerment or romanticized trauma? Lily's story was a tribute, and for many readers, it was powerful. Then came Verity, a dark psychological thriller. Readers were obsessed and divided. In 2024, Verity was officially announced as a film adaptation, reigniting both excitement and criticism. The cast includes well-known names like Anne Hathaway, Dakota Johnson, and Josh Hartnett. Some fans called it a dream cast and praised the serious acting chops. Others were skeptical, questioning if Hollywood could capture the book's dark, unfiltered intensity. Please don't water this down, one fan begged. Another wrote, Anne Hathaway as Verity? Either genius or a disaster. Readers were split. Was it brilliant or disturbing? Some called it trauma bait. Others praised it as bold, edgy, and unafraid. But the backlash to her male characters only intensified. Miles from Ugly Love. Ben from November 9th. Critics said Hoover's men were just red flags in paperback form. Emotionally unavailable, manipulative, abusive, and romanticized because they were attractive. TikTok turned them into case studies. Creators defended her. Others dissected every line like it was evidence in a trial. By 2024, the criticism had taken its toll. Colleen admitted in interviews that she felt drained and that the pressure made it hard to write honestly. She was afraid to release something new. Then the strange humor in her posts reflected how disconnected she was feeling from joy in general.
Do you think other people do this? You put water in our water. Do y'all put wine in your wine? I guess you don't drink wine with ice cubes, though.
Trying to distance herself from the drama between the cast of It Ends With Us, she went silent, even taking down her social media accounts for several months. She stopped publishing, stopped engaging. But she wasn't gone. She was shifting. In 2023, Colleen had launched her own production company, And in late 2024, she began to work behind the scenes to produce adaptations of her books, now keeping the rights to her own stories. It was a quiet reinvention. Less social media, more working behind the scenes and learning a new way of life as a producer.
Colleen, where are you in the process of casting for your next on-screen adaptation, Verity?
Actually, I just met with the producers a couple of weeks ago, and they sent me a list of potential cast.
I cannot wait to find out who Lowen and Verity are.
I know. I am so excited for that one.
In June of 2025, production of Reminders of Him wrapped up their shoot in Canada. And they wrapped filming Regretting You in May 2025. And Colleen headed back home to the comfort of her family in Texas after 5 long months of being on set. While she may never be BookTok's sweetheart again, she's not done telling stories. She's just doing it on her own terms. Colleen Hoover built an empire from heartbreak, passion, and a pure love for writing stories. Then watched the internet try to tear it down. She wrote from her scars, built something personal, and when it became too public, too painful, and too twisted, she stepped back. But she didn't vanish. She evolved. In the end, Colleen Hoover didn't need approval. She just needed freedom. And now she finally has it. If you liked watching this video, please check out our video on Frida McFadden.